Okay, so this is weekly analysis. I know I did not make a video last week because I wanted to try something new out, and that was actually everything in one day. Doing the trade recaps today all in one. But to be honest, I'm way too lazy to do that shit. Fuck everything. Like honestly, that shit is way too much. I should have just done the I should have just done the trade recaps every single day. But hey, at least now we know that I'm not doing that. But yeah. So, but I will do this, and it's basically on the weekly analysis if I am going to continue doing this or doing it like this. On weekly analysis, I will be going over kind of like what I could have done better throughout the week. I always do that anyways. Of course, it is weekly analysis, but now I want to go into news coming in on this upcoming week. News is very interesting this week. We do have PMI this week. We do have manufacturing PMI, which I realized that manufacturing PMI doesn't necessarily shake up markets like that. So will I trade? It all depends. It really doesn't matter whether PMI comes out, whether whatever comes out. I don't give a fuck. If I get a trade, I get a trade, and I'll get into the trade. I really don't care, right? What I will do is I will be a little more careful. Of course, I'm always a bit more careful. I don't really tend to go in heavier lot on trade on days like that. So yeah, I do gotta keep that in mind. Then there's also is it on Tuesday? I forgot, but there is also other PMIs and ISM dropping next week. I'm pretty sure it is on Tuesday, right? And then every other day, Wednesday, Tuesday, I'm pretty sure every other day is going to be good for me to trade. Yeah, I could be wrong, so I'll pop it up here, the dates, right? And wherever you see ISM or PMI, I tend to be a little more risk off. Also, I tend to also be a little more like really, I'm saying this shit. I really don't give a fuck. If I see a trade, I'll take the trade. Anyways, let's talk about what I could have done better this week and what needs to improve. Okay, so last week, right? I only took 2 losses, right? There's $200 loss and there's $2,220 loss, right? Which was on Friday. The profits were not all big because the trades that I did take this week, I didn't really ended up making a whole lot because it was only hitting TP1. There was also something I did realize as well was when I am able to hit those bigger, more extended draws on liquidity and lower resistance liquidity, right, in the markets. And the way that I figured that out was actually, of course, through trial and error. But I realized that normally here on the 4-hour, the 4-hour tells me everything I need to know. So if the 4-hour is way too extended, right? We are most likely still going to sweep out liquidity on the lower time frames, 15-minute, 5-minute. We're still going to sweep out some form of liquidity so that the market could continue and push back up, right? So because the way that I like to trade, I like to take the first trade that I see. So because of that, I can kind of see the correlation between the 4-hour and the smaller time frames. And because if the 4-hour is already way too extended and I am getting that 5-minute or lower time frame entry off of still the same confluence that the market is extended off of, I am able to continue, or I am able to get the trade, or I still get the trade met, but it only gets like lower resistance. Like the market really only targets lower resistance liquidity, and that was kind of the way that I figured that out, right? is all about looking at the bigger time frames and seeing whether the market is already way too extended, or is the market fresh? Like, is the move fresh? Is the move that I am getting fresh, right? Is the sweep on liquidity, the breaker structure, the fair value gap fresh, right? Or has the market had time to already move and do its thing? So that's something that I realized. So this week, as you can see, because of the first few days, you can see that low profits being made because I was targeting those lower resistance type of trades because the market was mostly already extended on the 4-hour and higher time frames. Except for this day right here. This day I actually had extended TPs. This day, which was the 26th, I did have more extended TPs on this trade because, again, that move was pretty fresh. And yeah, the only problem I really had on this trade and that I regret here on this trade is actually not going in heavier, because the market looked really good to go in heavier, especially on the 4-hour. Like, that shit just looked like it wanted a tank. And I should have gone in a little heavier. I was thinking about it. I was like, should I go heavier? Should I go heavier on this trade? Should I go heavier? But I didn't end up going heavier on the trade. Then I ended up losing on Friday. And the lesson I learned on Friday was actually that, so the problem was at the sweep on liquidity, right? So I realized that we actually, when the market sweeps liquidity, right? So for example, let's say we have a sweep on liquidity. This is literally it. Right here, as you can see, we did sweep out this liquidity up here. We also had a fair value gap on the 5-minute time frame, right over here, right? We had a fair value gap. Like, there was a few fair value gaps within here, but the market actually, as you can see, we decided, and this is pre-market still, right? On pre-market, we decided to still sweep out liquidity again, right? This liquidity again, so that I should have like got rid of the other confluences, right? And I should have just made that trade fresh, right? Like, had that trade fresh. Because of that trade, my entry was all the way down here, right? I got the 1-minute entry all the way down here. And then the move just stopped me out. But the trade did go in my favor, as you can see. Fucking that shit tanked, right? But the reason why I didn't get this trade met was because I didn't know that if we sweep out liquidity again, I should be looking for those confluences again. So I should be looking for that sweep, that breaker structure, that fair value gap. And that was basically my demise on Friday. And that was the reason why I actually ended up taking that loss, that $2,000 loss. But I ended up making $760 because I took another trade to the downside, and then I got stopped out at break even. The lessons I've learned this week has been, when I am able to get in on a higher time frame draws on liquidity or lower time frame draws on liquidity, I also realize when the market wicks out. For example, my strategy is sweep on liquidity, breaker structure, fair value gap, right? Sometimes I actually end up getting that entry on the 1-minute time frame, but it's not really an entry. It's actually that from the 5-minute breaker structure that I place, we get that 1 minute, we get a wick on the 1-minute time frame, and then we end up coming lower from the wick, and I end up putting that wick as the most recent high or as the most recent low, depending on whether the market is going up or down. And I tend to always get the entry, and then from that entry, immediately the market just starts retracing right back up, right? And the market starts going back up. So I realized that the reason why is because if the market wicks the trade, I shouldn't be getting into an I shouldn't get into a trade until the market really like creates a new high low or low high, right? And then that's when I am able to get in. Can I do it on the 5 minute? Yes. Can I do it? Can I use that low high or high low on the 1 minute time frame? Yes, I am able to do that. I don't necessarily need a high low or a low high on the bigger time frames. On the 5 minute time frame, I could use the high low or low high on the 1 minute time frame to try to see if I could get that entry. Normally I won't get it, right? If the move is wicking and shit, I'm not going to get the trade, because that kind of insinuates that the market is meeting a form of resistance at that area, and that means that the market is most likely to continue pushing back up now because of that resistance that we're meeting, either that we are meeting from the buyers or sellers, right? So either buyers or sellers are taking a bit more control of the markets at this particular area, and that's the reason why we wicked it on the 1 minute time frame, right? So that is another thing that I've learned this week. And then also most of my mistakes that go on in my trading actually stem from my TPs now. It's not necessarily because of me not knowing my strategy or this, that, or also some of my trades, my losing trades, actually stem from me not knowing these little aspects of my strategy that go in that actually make these little aspects, just these little aspects, which I am continuing and I am still developing, right? So, but let's go, let me dive in a little more in the TPs aspect. So again, as you know, sometimes I am able to get very great TPs, other times I am not able to get good TPs. Sometimes the market hits TP1, goes back to break even because the TP was way too close to the move. Other times the market ends up not hitting any of the TPs, right? So that kind of like messed me up, or messes me up a little bit, or kind of fucks with me, right? So again, what I realized is I shouldn't be mad when I am seeing low resistance. Like if I am targeting low resistance, right, then I shouldn't be mad if the market wicks, if the market hits TP1 and then retraces, hits my break even, and then continues going down a little bit, right? I shouldn't be mad at that because I was targeting lower resistance. But if I am targeting high resistance, then I am able to again extend that TP to the maximum, basically I am able to extend that TP to the maximum, and I am able to again make that more. Now, something I did realize was lot size, right? I am only having 2 TPs, right? So I'm also seeing that when I last week I went in on a ES trade. In that ES trade, I took a 3-lot trade normally on ES to accommodate for the lower movement that I have on ES, that there is on ES. So for me, it's kind of like 3 lots is equivalent to a 2-lot trade on NASDAQ. And I go 3 lots, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to put 3 TPs, but really I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't have gone 3 TPs. The market hit my 2 TPs and didn't hit my 3rd TP. Really, that 3rd TP was more for fucks and giggles, see if the market hits it. It did hit it, but it was more for like fucks and giggles. Or it actually didn't hit it, my bad. But yeah, but really I shouldn't do that. I should just do like two lots on the first TP and then one lot on the third TP, and that would have been better for me. I would have, made that little extra, you could say, or yeah. But again, another thing that I really have to understand, and now I'm going to get into that emotional aspect of trading, is to really not give a fuck about the money that I make or see, or really, I'm not making shit, but because this is demo, this is a funded account, but it's more in the aspect of really not giving a fuck about the money, about this, about that. All I am here to do is just to execute my trades, to follow my rules, to follow my plan. I will have conflicting beliefs, conflicting thought patterns, right? But I am able to manage myself very well. I am very aware. I have a great technique to be able to regulate myself and be able to use my emotions so that I am able to master myself. That is another aspect of trading that, it's really useful. You really need it for you to be able to develop as a trader, right? And it's that emotional knowledge, that emotional understanding. And it's not only fear that you have to worry about. It's not only it's not only fear, it's not only anxiety, it's not only like your thoughts and whatever it is. It's really not that's one aspect of trading. But then once you start winning, you start getting a bit too cocky. You start thinking that you are above everything, and because of that excitement of winning, because of that excitement that you're making money or this or that, that's when you tend to also start fucking around and tend to give trading glamour. And because of that glamour, you start blowing shit up, right? You start doing things that are outside of your trading plan. You start wanting to take more trades because you're so good. The fuck, I don't even lose, right? Why not take more trades and make more money, right? And at least that's just what that aspect of the self thinks when it's excited, when it's like this, when it's feeling higher than thou, right? So yeah, I know that was a little yap session, but really I enjoy this. It's very nice to be able to talk trading, because again, who else am I going to talk trading to? Trading is a big aspect of myself. Is a big, even though I only kind of trade, as you can see, as you saw, literally the biggest time I took from a position was like 20 fucking minutes last week, right? That was the longest time I held a trade. And but it's still a big aspect in the way that I've understood trading these past 2 years, the way that I'm understanding trading this year. It's like completely different. And it's like, it's a big part of who I am and who I am becoming. I am mastering myself. And it's like not a lot of people can see that, right? Especially when you are, either starting off. People don't really see like the hard work that you have to put into becoming a successful trader. And it's not gonna take a year. It may not take 2. It may take longer than that. And it may take a shorter time if you do have the right mentors, and you do, and if you do like have a great strategy, and your mentors are there for you. But if not, and you're doing this shit trial and error, you don't have the money-ish, I guess you could say, to get a mentor or things like that. It's kind of like, it's very hard, because it's like it's not only fucking with your mental, but it's also like you really think you're a failure because you're not thriving as a trader, or you You may beat yourself. A lot of things, you know, a lot of things. But again, a little yap session right there. But really, that's it. I'm gonna catch you guys tomorrow. There's a trade to be taken. So yeah. Zam! 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 I fuck a little bitch, I fell a hoe in a B-Day.